They were only a few steps from victory when Everest turned on them. On May 10, 1996, more than 30 climbers pushed toward the summit, confident the weather would hold. For many, this was the dream of a lifetime, but dreams don't survive in the death zone. Just after noon, strange things started happening. The wind died suddenly. An eerie, unnatural silence wrapped around the peak. Sherpas said they felt something coming, something cold, something dangerous. Minutes later, the storm hit. Not a normal storm, but a monster. Winds over 70 miles per hour, temperatures dropping faster than their oxygen levels. Snow hitting so hard it felt like needles against the skin. Climbers vanished inside a white wall where they couldn't see their own hands. And in the middle of that chaos, one radio transmission cut through the storm. A final call from a man trapped just below the summit. A call that still haunts everyone who has heard it. Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the world's most haunting mountain stories. Tales of courage, tragedy, and the unforgiving power of nature's highest peaks. Today we focus on the moment Everest became a graveyard, the 1996 Everest Disaster, a tragedy that exposed the deadly truth behind commercial climbing. In late April 1996, dozens of climbers from around the world gathered at Everest Base Camp, standing before a mountain that looked peaceful, almost welcoming. Tents lined the glacier like a small frozen city. Flags fluttered, radios cracked with laughter. For many of them, this was the dream of a lifetime. Rob Hall, the Hummel New Zealander, ran the respected adventure consultants team. He was organized, disciplined, and loved by clients. Rob had already led 39 climbers to the summit, more than any guide in the world. Across camp, Scott Fischer, leader of Mountain Madness, brought a different energy. He was strong, charismatic, and known for pushing the edge of human endurance. Both men admired each other. Both believed the mountain could be conquered. Both were about to walk into the deadliest storm Everest had seen in decades. Over the next weeks, climbers made repeated rotations up and down the mountain, to Camp 1 at 6,000 meters, Camp 2 in the western Coombe, the dangerous Lhotse face to reach Camp 3, and eventually Camp 4, perched in the infamous death zone. Every step tested their lungs, their nerves, and their will. Some climbers began showing signs of exhaustion early. Some struggled with the altitude. Some ignored warnings. But the promise of a clear weather window on May 10th kept everyone committed. This was supposed to be the perfect day. At midnight, climbers left Camp 4, their headlamps stretching across the ridge like glowing ants marching through darkness. The temperature was brutal, minus 30 degrees Celsius, with winds cutting through every layer. As they climbed higher, bottlenecks formed. Ropes weren't fixed in time. Climbers waited too long in the cold. Oxygen began running lower than expected. Every delay meant higher risk. They were still hours behind the recommended schedule, but they kept climbing. The summit was too close to turn back. Between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., climbers reached the summit, far too late in the day. Rob Hall encouraged his team as they celebrated at the top of the world, but he knew the truth. They were in trouble. On Everest, late summits are deadly. Descending is always harder than climbing, and storms often hit in the afternoon. Still, no one imagined what was coming. As the climbers descended from the south summit, something strange happened. The wind stopped. The mountain went silent. Sherpas said the silence felt wrong, like Everest was holding its breath. Then it hit. A monstrous storm rolled in faster than any forecast predicted. Winds exploded to 70 miles per hour. Snow turned into white knives against the skin. Visibility collapsed to zero. Climbers couldn't see the ropes, couldn't see the trail, couldn't see each other. Everest became a white battlefield. People were collapsing. Oxygen bottles ran empty. Headlamps died. Radio signals broke. Voices were swallowed by the wind. Some climbers walked off the ridge unknowingly. Some sat down in the snow and never stood again. Others crawled blindly, searching for the fixed lines. Sherpas risked their lives for everyone, guiding, pulling, shouting through the storm. But the mountain swallowed more than it returned. Rob Hall made a decision that sealed his fate. One of his clients, Doug Hansen, was struggling severely near the summit ridge. Doug was exhausted, freezing, and unable to move. Rob refused to abandon him. Even as the storm strengthened, he stayed, wrapping Doug in his arms, trying to keep him alive. He radioed base camp. "We're in terrible shape. The storm has us pinned down." Hours passed. Doug lost consciousness beside him. Rob was trapped. By morning, he knew he wouldn't survive. He could barely speak, his voice thin and brittle from the cold, but he made one final call, not to his team, but to his pregnant wife, Jan, in New Zealand. His message broke the world's heart. "Sleep well, my sweetheart. Please don't worry too much." These were his final recorded words. He never came down the mountain. Meanwhile, Scott Fischer was also trapped. He had been climbing while sick, pushing beyond human limits. Sherpa Lobsang tried to drag him down, but Scott's body stopped responding. He drifted in and out of consciousness. As the storm intensified, Scott lay down near the balcony. He never woke up. His body still rests on Everest, frozen into the mountain he loved so deeply. All night, climbers huddled together near the South Col, some screaming for help, some whispering prayers, some silent in the cold. Some were already gone. A group of survivors wandered in circles for hours, blinded by ice. They collapsed repeatedly, then crawled again, refusing to die. 2 climbers, thought to be dead, miraculously survived the night. One of them lost their nose, fingers, and hands, but lived to tell the story. When morning came, the mountain was silent again. Only bodies remained where the storm had thrown them. By the time the storm cleared, 8 climbers had died on or near the summit. The world was shocked. The climbing community was shaken. Questions erupted. Why were the ropes not fixed on time? Why did teams leave so late? Was the mountain overcrowded? Were commercial expeditions pushing people beyond their limits? The disaster forced Everest to change. Stricter guiding rules, better communication, improved weather forecasting, limits on summit day crowding. But nothing could erase the scars of that day. Many of the bodies from 1996 still remain on Everest, frozen markers of courage, loyalty, exhaustion, and tragedy. The mountain keeps them as reminders. Reminders that Everest is not won by money or pride, but only when she allows people to return. And in 1996, she allowed very few. You now understand why the 1996 disaster shook the world. It wasn't just a storm. It was a collapse of timing, leadership, exhaustion, and the brutal truth that Everest always decides who survives. This tragedy forced the climbing industry to change its rules forever. To know what happened during Rob Hall's final call, the heartbreaking message he sent before the mountain claimed him, click on the video showing on the screen.